So we got a comment a while back with somebody asking us to talk about adaptations. And naturally, I'm going to jump on that. I don't know how you two feel. But adaptations are kind of my bag.
What do you mean a comment?
A comment, you know, like somebody wrote it on my locker. Like they took a Sharpie and wrote on my locker, hey, you know how you guys hang out in the hallway and talk about anime every week?
Yes.
You should talk about adaptations.
That's a good point.
Thank you, random locker writer. I'm sure I see you in the crowd here somewhere. But yeah, they said we should talk about adaptations. And anybody who knows me knows that, like, my channel has the subs versus dubs series, which is 2 videos on the same subject. But
it counts, man. It's all
it
good.
counts, yeah. My channel has the subs versus dubs thing, where I talk about the differences in translations. I wrote my bachelor's thesis about the French dub of Frozen. Like, this is the kind of thing that I do. Mm-hmm. So, like, just to start out a little talk here, I was wondering if you guys had any particular experiences with adaptations that you wanted to share, like really good adaptations from manga to anime, or from sub to dub, or like from, I don't know, a radio play to graphic novel, like whatever you want to talk about.
I mean, I do, because, well, like you said, when you're doing your series on sub versus dub with My Hero Academia, one of the first things I caught was I was trying to get some footage where, what's his name, where Tokiyami made that reference to like a quote. And they just changed it completely. Yep. Like, not only like what it said, but what it meant. And to me, that really bothered me because it completely changed the tone. Well, not the tone, but it changed what he was fucking saying. It's like basically like just changing his comment. I don't know. It kind of triggered me.
Yeah, I feel you.
I have this thing where I kind of like, you know, I want it to be preserved, but or preserved or done better.
Yeah.
Because who was it? I think Black Lagoon. Have you seen that show yet?
No.
Black Lagoon is a show you should watch dubbed, because the dubbed is just better than the sub. This was back when they got like real voice actors who were really talented and knew what they were doing, that were actually playing the right characters.
Yeah.
No offense to Funimation, but let's be honest, you just try to get the biggest names on every fucking show you can so people jump onto it. But I think Black Lagoon is just ridiculously well dubbed, to the point where the sub's actually worse than the dub. One of the few shows I will ever say that for. Yeah, because I tried to watch the sub originally because I'm a huge sub fan. My brother was like, no, you gotta watch dub. You gotta watch dub. I was like, it's kind of boring.
I just remember that there is a lot of cursing in the Black Lagoon dub, so I'm looking forward to watching it.
There is a lot of cursing, but it's not. It's a show that it makes sense in though. Like it's not like they were fucking like licking lollipops. They were fucking pirates, basically. You know, modern day pirates, and just like, you know. But it's a good show. I think adaptations are important, but I don't know. I have weird opinions on them.
Well, of course adaptations are important. I don't think anybody's disputing that.
Well, no, actually, I take that back. No, adaptations aren't important. We should never have any ever.
Oh, God.
No more subtitles, guys, either. God. Subtitles are just a loose adaptation. You have to learn the language, learn the lingo, and everything. Yeah,
don't do this to me.
No.
Enjoy the content.
No, I mean, like, you know those comments that you get about 20 times per video, where everybody thinks they're being clever, but really it's just the same comment over and over?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, like, one of those comments for me is on the subs versus dub series, like, yeah, well, you just learn Japanese and watch the Raw, and that's the best way to do it. Raw wins. Like, all right. Congrats. You're better than me. You did it. Oh well.
That sucks. No, that's so annoying. It's like, why don't you just learn the entire language? No, I'm not.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I'm very slowly working on it. Okay, it takes time.
Like, I understand learning the language if you like want to move there, and there's like reasons for business relationships and stuff like that. But like, I have no intent of ever doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I've come to that conclusion. Like, I'll learn a little bit of Japanese just so like I can kind of half read subtitles now and like still understand what's going on. But that's it. Like, that's to the extent I'm going to learn, because I actually kind of enjoy subtitles now. Like, I've gotten so used to them that I don't read them anymore. I just like glance at them, instantly know what they're saying, and then just keep watching the show.
Yeah. No, like,
It's just...
I've only actually started watching anime again recently, like in the past year or so. And I've really enjoyed, like, picking up words, like listening without looking at the subtitles at first, saying like, okay, she said subarashi, that means wonderful or cool or like, and then looking at the subtitle and realizing I was totally wrong about everything.
It's really fun to just find the word fragments and just throw them together and be like, this is a sentence, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think I get it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but back to adaptations. I'm trying to think of some other adaptations that I think are great. Have you guys ever heard of the Ghost Stories adaptation?
Duh.
Oh, the Ghost Stories dub. It is amazing.
It is one of my favorites.
It's the best dub.
It is the best dub.
If I were to go back to what was said a moment ago, it is subarashi. Yeah, I did it.
Congratulations.
The podcast is over. I did it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I mean, standing in the halls.
Staring awkwardly at us. Not
Alex has learned Japanese, everyone.
Alex is a true weeb here.
Podcast goals.
There we go. No, but here's the thing, though. So, like, I don't even know what counts as a good adaptation, though. Because you have things like Black Lagoon, where, like, the adaptation is just almost better than the actual... I consider it better than the original. Then you have things like My Hero Academia, where I feel like the adaptation didn't properly translate. And on top of that, you have something like fucking Ghost Stories, where it obviously didn't translate over, but it was so funny in Paradise that it actually ended up making the show better in most people's opinions.
Yes. Like, Ghost Stories is one of my favorite things to point to when I tell people that the intent of the original author doesn't matter. The only important thing when it comes to adaptation is creating a story that resonates with the audience that you're adapting for. For example, like, the people who were in charge of dubbing Ghost Stories said, like, okay, this series obviously has no hope. Let's rework it into something good. And then they did, and it's amazing. So, like...
The cool story behind that is how just, like, apparently from what I've heard, like, the Japanese company just kind of said, yeah, this didn't really sell well in Japan, so they gave them, like, 2 or 3 restrictions, like, you can't change the powers or whatnot, or like
the overarching
the characters.
story.
Yeah, you can't change.
But like you could do whatever.
Yeah.
They had free reign for basically everything.
I think it was mostly written by the voice actors, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was improvised, more or less, but...
A good bit of it, if not all of it, was improvised, from what I've heard.
I mean, that makes total sense. But
it's so beautiful.
For everybody who's not familiar, the Ghost Stories dub is the most incredible dub that's ever been dubbed. It's this show that didn't sell very well in Japan. I think it was a kids show, about this group of like fucking high schoolers who got together to fight ghosts. And it was terrible. It was just an awful show. It was given to the dubbing team and they said like, hey dudes, just go nuts with this. And they did.
It's basically a professional abridged series. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's a really good example.
Ketchero, are you retarded?
I just love the little kid who just screams the entire fucking It's like fucking Asta. That little kid's just a younger version of Asta. That's all it's been the entire time.
But like, the thing about it is that if you focus so much on preserving the experience that the Japanese audience is getting, then you're never going to get something like Ghost Stories. You're never going to get something like I've never seen a Cowboy Bebop. I've never seen one of the Cowboy Bebops.
One of the Cowboy Bebops? There's only one.
The Colby Beep Boops. But, yeah, I've never seen Cowboy Bebop, but like, what makes Cowboy Bebop a great dub, from my understanding, is just the way they're able to embrace that Western American influence in the story. So, like, a Western audience is never going to get the same experience as a Japanese one, no matter how close of a translation you try to translate. So, I just don't feel like going quote-unquote word for word with your translations is smart. So I don't know.
It's interesting that you kind of mentioned that idea, because I remember seeing a video by the Cartoon Cipher just talking about why do anime dubs change the original script. And one of the examples he brought up was everybody's favorite, what was it, summer or was it spring anime, whatever, everyone's favorite Hajimete no Gal.
Yeah.
And how like the clip that he played in that video, I actually thought, wow, there seems like there's a bit of personality to the, well, not to say that the original didn't have, I guess, its own personality, but it's like, hey, it did something to make it a little less insufferable. I still wouldn't watch it, but I mean, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, like, Hajimete no Gal, isn't that one where they included some of those, like, really weird, out of place, like, feminist comments? Because, like, I know they
like
did that in the dub of Dragon Maid.
I'm not sure.
Where, like, somebody mentions something, blah, 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 the patriarchy, blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, it sounds like I'm, like, talking down on feminism. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, this stuff was inserted into the dub when it wasn't in the sub.
I don't know. I haven't watched the dub of Hajimete no Gal.
I haven't. So. Well, I haven't either, obviously.
I haven't watched the sub of Hajimete no Gal.
Yeah, same. I watched the first episode.
I watched the first episode just because, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, because it's my job.
No.
But
there was a point where I thought I'd make a video on it, but I watched 3 episodes and I hated myself.
Yeah.
How would you do that to yourself? It's painful.
I don't know.
But yeah, that is. I don't want to call it a trend because I've only heard about it in those 2 shows, but Maid Dragon, I think Centaur no Naomi did it, and also Hajimete no Gal have been inserting like left-wing political ideologies into their shows when they just weren't there in the Japanese.
Okay, so if you're following any of the Twitters of any of these fucking like big name voice actors, like I mean I'm a liberal. I'm not gonna pretend otherwise.
Yeah, same.
Like I'm hardcore liberal, but Jesus, man, like Steve Blum, like he's gotta chill. Like there is something like we need to kill Donald Trump. Okay, come on, now Steve Blum, let's
not
take
murder
it down
people.
a notch. Let's not, murder's not the way. No,
we've still got a whole line of secession to worry about. That won't solve anything.
I mean, that's an exaggeration, but he is like crazy on Twitter, like about like all these political beliefs, and a few other of the voice actors I'm following are the same way.
Yeah.
So maybe like, I mean, they get a lot of influence in the booth. I met what's her name, the girl who does the voice acting for one of the girls from whatchamacallit. What's the name of that show? The Halloween show, Halloween anime.
I don't know.
I always forget the name. It's super easy, but it's a super famous show. She's a voice actress, and I got to interview her once, and we were kind of going back and forth. And she told me that like basically she's also an audio technician at the place, and that she helps dub. Like she'll like go through and like, oh yeah, we'll change things up. And sometimes when they're dubbing things, apparently like half the time they're just kind of trying to find something that fits the lip flaps.
Yeah.
Like, so, if it fits the lip flaps, it saves the editing team more time, and they just fucking run with it. Which I'm not a big fan of. When she said that, I just kind of looked at her like, changing lip flaps, is it that hard? Like, come on. Like, I do it for my videos.
I mean, when you have to do it a lot.
Yeah, it's true. But it's just kind of one of those things where it was like, oh, okay. So, I mean, I feel like voice actors get a lot more sway. And if it's Steve Blum, like one of the gods of voice acting in there. Right. And he's like, hey, what if he made this a leftist political ideology statement? The guy behind the counter who's just getting paid $7.25 an hour is going to be like, fuck it.
Right.
I don't want to get fired if I tell him Steve Blum now, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I'm not sure how I feel about that sort of thing. On the one hand, obviously I want to lean back to my usual, like, the original intent of the piece doesn't matter, you're creating an entirely new work. But on the other hand, it's like, I don't. It doesn't sit right with me.
I understand how you feel with that. I mean, that was my thing, is I didn't kind of agree with the whole thing of like just, we just try to find whatever's the easiest. I'm like, what if you tried to find whatever you think made the most sense? Like, there is a difference.
Yeah.
You know. Let's see, what are some other adaptations we can talk about? Oh, how about Black Clover?
Yes, Matt. Let's
Black
talk about
Clover.
Black Clover.
Again, because I love talking about Black Clover, because this fucking anime is ridiculous.
Have you read the manga?
No, I haven't read the manga, but from what I've been looking into and like researching, because fun fact, I intentionally never read manga because I think manga is a good way to ruin your experience with anime. But that's a story for another day.
Right. Sure.
But Black Clover, just that show. But apparently, what's been happening is that they've been like fucking adapting half a chapter per episode.
Which is
like,
insane.
Yeah, that's generally not a good idea.
Yeah, like you generally do like 3 chapters per episode or 2 chapters per episode, I believe. So like that explains a lot of the pacing issues I've been making fun of in my videos. So I think Black Clover, here's my thing, is I'm actually, like, this is going to be in part 3 of my video. I think Black Clover could totally be an acceptable shonen.
Well,
like,
sure, that's all it's trying to be.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that, you know, I think story-wise and, like, the characters and stuff like that, if they just got rid of all the bullshit filler and just moved it at, like, a fast pace, like, if, like, by episode 1, they were at the entrance exams, you know, and by episode 2, he's already on his first mission of Black Bulls. If they just done that, just kind of like, all right, let's just move fast, let's just get through this show, you know, I think this shonen could have just been enjoyable, because one of my biggest things I make fun of in this show is that they just repeat fucking everything.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, we get obvious context clues, like Yuno was a crybaby when he was a child. Let's show a scene of Yuno crying when he was a child. Let's go ahead and have someone else mention that. I remember when Yuno was a crybaby. Let's just fourth time's the charm, guys. Yuno was a crybaby when he was a child. Why are you saying that? Because I just wanted to make sure everyone in the audience knew. You know, it's like, if you just, you know, they have context clues in there. Like, there are scenes where, like, they explain that without, like, actually physically explaining it, and then follow it up exactly with a scene of them fucking explaining it.
That is my biggest pet peeve in anime. In anything,
like,
but it happens a lot in anime.
Yeah, well, the thing is I just call it not having respect for your audience.
Yep, that's
like,
exactly what it
obviously
is.
your audience fucking understands. Like, why are you going that far? Granted, the show is definitely not geared towards people of my age, but...
Sure.
You know, fuck, you know, when I was 14, I'd still be triggered by this shit. Because I'd be like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I understand. Stop saying the same thing 8 times over.
No, like, Magus Bride did that a while, like, 2 episodes ago, I think. Like, I just watched through that with my friend Holden. And, like, somebody said, like, what kind of mother would abandon their child? Just cut to an image of Chisei's face, which is like, okay, I get it. I see the parallel here. I see what they're doing. Cut to a flashback of Chisei's mother. And like, yes, that is what you said. Like,
just in case you forgot, here you go. Yeah, I know, it triggers me. I don't like it when shows do that. That's actually why I hate You Rely in April so much, is that's how that show's based.
Really?
Just repeating, oh yeah, it's terrible. I think you should watch it just so you can understand. It's one of those shows where I do recommend it to everyone, because a lot of people love this show. I despise it with a passion.
Okay.
No, but what else was there about Black Clover? But like I said, I think Black Clover was just kind of a show that could have totally been okay and acceptable, and something I would have personally watched, because I think if the shonen pacing was fast, I would have been like, fuck it. Like, I don't care if they're generic. Because I really don't have anything against generic characters or generic shows. I think there is some skill and a mastery of art. One of my favorite examples is Black Billiards, I think it's called.
Okay.
Death Parade, my bad. It's Death Parade. That's the name of the... Death Billiards is the name of the epilogue thing. Death Parade is a show that doesn't really have any unique new ideas, but it's a mastery of the subject, mastery of the genre.
Yeah.
Where it's so perfectly done from start to finish. That's like, wow. Like, you know where it's going, you know what's going to happen, but it meets all of your expectations and exceeds them at the same time. It's so well done. And I feel like if a shonen were to do that, kind of like My Hero Academia almost.
Yeah.
You know, My Hero Academia didn't really like create something brand new or amazing. It just took this shonen genre and was like, what if we just did this super well?
Yeah.
And that's all it was. That's all it was, and it's fucking great.
That's what's great about Hiroaka.
Well, it's interesting when we talk about all these different like shonen adaptations because there are so many different incarnations of so many different shows that exist out there. Like you have the big three, which kind of followed. They created that formula of like stretching the material for all it's worth and adding in like filler and slowing down the pacing of everything. And then you look at something like you have multiple different adaptations. So you have like a Full Metal Alchemist, which takes completely goes in an original direction, or you have something like the original Hunter x Hunter, which kind of follows the same tropes of adding in filler. But I mean, like, what are your opinions on filler? Because I do think that there are certain ways, like, I mean, I would bring up the 1999 Hunter x Hunter, how they add in certain scenes which don't necessarily need to be there, but then there are other scenes that kind of seek to further develop the characters in a way that the original work did not. Actually, for an example that both of you could relate to better, because you've both definitely seen it, My Hero Academia, how the first 2 episodes of the anime, I believe the first 2 episodes only adapt the first chapter, but they like expand on it, and they make like that scene with Deku and his mother. They kind of expand on that and make it really it strikes a stronger emotional chord, because I think it's just like a panel or a page in the manga. So I do think there is something to be said about extending the material, but also doing so in a way that like benefits the story as a whole. What are your thoughts?
Well,
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead. Okay, I'll go first. No, but for me, like one of my best examples of shows that do filler right is early Naruto. If you ever like sit through and watch early Naruto, oh wait, you are doing that literally right now.
Literally at this moment on your phone in the hall.
Well, yeah, like I know the Naruto anime does have some. I mean, there are some filler scenes in there that don't need to exist, as with any.
No, but what I'm more so talking about is like the fight scenes where they stop and explain to you exactly what's going on. Technically, that's filler, but the way they do it like really kind of pulls you into their world. I think that's an example of good filler to me. Is like I love the fight.
Well, I mean,
with,
it depends. What exactly do you? At that point, you're talking like, because I mean, the explanations of the fights are in the manga, so it's not really filler. But do you mean like? Well, just exposition in a story, or not exposition, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess more so is like stretching out the story. It's because like in the fights with the like the fight with Rock Lee, where they're just explaining how his defenses work and all this stuff. Like if they just went through the whole fight with Rock Lee, it'd be over in like an episode. But they stretched it out over like 3 episodes throughout the like conversations like that. But that also built up tension, made the fight more interesting, and made it to me like one of the best fights in anime. You know, and they do that with just about every single fight in the show.
Until they don't.
Are we still talking about this in relation to adaptations? Because that's something that the manga does also.
Does it? Okay, I'm not sure. See, like I said, I don't read manga, so I don't know.
See, because what I think of when I talk about good Naruto filler, at least this is subjective, of course, but like in the original, like the opening few episodes, you have characters like Shikamaru's team. They're there. They might actually be the only ones who are there. But you have... Oh, no, Hinata's there. Like, you have all the characters who, in the manga, don't show up until the tuning exams. Like, those early scenes, the early chapters, it's just a bunch of random students who aren't in the anime because the anime replaces them with relevant characters, and it kind of sets them up for future things. So that's cool. I don't know where I was going with that, but that's a thing.
I also feel like we need to make a distinction between, like... what am I trying to say? Between expository content and filler, or like because anything that's added into the anime that wasn't in the manga is not necessarily filler. Like filler, as far as I understand it, is content that gets created by an anime studio when there's no more manga left to adapt and they need to wait for more source material. Unless it's Studio Bones adapting Full Metal Alchemist, then they just do their own thing.
Then I guess there's a distinction between original material and filler, I guess.
Yeah, well, what I think he's trying to say is that like if it's in the manga and it's expository, like for me, like I always kind of I don't use a traditional word of filler. which is kind of problematic. I generally use anything that's expository and was unnecessary to the production. Like,
Okay.
but I know what you're going for. Like, filler is just strictly as in like was not in the manga but added into the anime. Like just like anime exclusive episodes. Like the whole thing with My Hero Academia and the Frog Girl with her whole internship. Like that wasn't in the manga. That was strictly anime. So technically that episode's filler.
Well, that episode is filler in both
such
senses.
a great episode.
I disagree.
I think it was pretty boring.
Well, yeah, that was sarcasm.
Yeah, it was a bad
Very
episode.
sarcastic.
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Oh, I don't have much more to say. Just now that we've got a definition of filler that we all like.
I don't know. Like, see, the thing is,
we-
like, for me, like, filler is not like the biggest deal. I think it's more expository, like wasteful exposition.
Yeah, I feel like filler just has to be inconsequential, or else it's not filler. It's just more show. Because
like for certain
the arc with like the Naruto arc with the race on the island, like I haven't seen Naruto in years. But like there was this huge string of like 9 seasons of straight filler arc.
The infamous filler hell.
Yeah, and none of it mattered. Because like they couldn't change anything in the world. They couldn't do anything of consequence that would affect characters in any lasting way, because it might not be in the manga. So they had to create these entirely self-contained stories that didn't matter to anyone. And that's filler.
I mean, even then, there are potentially certain interesting things you could do with that. Like, you could create original characters, but obviously they would just never show up again. But at least then, like, it's, I guess, something. But even then, like, typically if a filler arc introduces a new character, I'm just not invested. Like, not because even before, like, I knew which episodes were filler in Naruto, I would just be like, wow, this is a boring story. Why is this happening?
Yeah.
And then I found out it was filler, and I was like, oh, skipping that.
It's just annoying, because it's like... It's one of those, we now return to your regularly scheduled programming moments. Like, they take a break from everything that they're doing that matters, and then you have to sit through at least a week, probably several weeks, sometimes months, of content that's just totally irrelevant. Which is one of the problems with manga adaptation, which is one of the reasons why studios shouldn't bother sticking to source material. They should just make their own thing when the manga runs out.
Wow, that's a dangerous thing to say, man. I'm just warning you right now. You're gonna trigger some people in the audience.
The original Full Metal Alchemist was great.
Did you ever watch the original Blue Exorcist?
Some of it.
Did you watch the end of it? That's
No.
the important part, when they went off and did exactly as you said.
Look, yeah, sometimes it's not gonna work out. Plus, that's fucking Studio A1 Pictures. When have they ever done anything right?
That is a good point.
And typically in that instance, what you'll find is if the source material or just the story as a whole is so great, like with Full Metal Alchemist, for example, the original was so successful that they were able to go back and readapt a more faithful adaptation in Brotherhood. So,
and even if
really
they weren't, the manga still exists.
The same thing with the Blue Exorcist, though. They readapted it too. But what was some other shows? I don't know. I'm a strong believer in making original IPs for anime.
Well, yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of the original IPs that we've gotten are just fantastic. Like Tsuki ga Kere was an original IP. Almost all of, who was it? Oh, I can't believe I forgot the name. Angel Beats, all those shows by what's the name of the company that makes those? Those are all originals. I think, yeah, Angel Beats actually has a manga, but it's a manga based after the anime, which is pretty interesting. So I don't know.
I do like the idea of original anime, but for me personally, a lot of my favorite anime are themselves adaptations. So I don't think necessarily that adaptations are without merit, because I know for someone like me, not to say that I would never have found My Hero Academia, because I probably would have found it way later, but like the anime was a key part in getting me invested in the story to even seek out the manga in the first place, which I haven't done, but I might eventually. But like even without like considering the manga, the anime is a really engaging story, and the first 2 seasons I've seen of it so far I really enjoyed. Now it's not over, so I won't. I mean, we had a conversation before about like our favorite anime, and I put Hero Aka in there even though it's not done. But like if that wasn't animated, then I'd be missing out on one of my favorite anime. Not just one of my favorite stories, but just one of my favorite anime, at least at this moment.
No, I agree with you. I'm just kind of saying, like, let's pretend like My Hero Academia is like manga ended like this season, and they started in next season without like any manga or any material to go off of. Like, would you be kind of insulted by that?
No.
I would just.
But I mean, I'm the one who proposed it. So
yeah, well, I figured you. I'm asking the important person here, Alex.
I guess it depends because
Sensei, Matt said I wasn't important.
Well, because like what I said, if like with the original Full Metal Alchemist, the story was so good, and like from what I would gather, the anime sold well because they made a readaptation. So, like if the source material is good enough, I would imagine that. Because, like, readaptations are a thing. You had a readaptation of Full Metal Alchemist. You even had, like, a Dragon Ball Kai going back and read... I don't know why they call it Dragon Ball Kai, because they only redid Z portions, but hey, I'm not Japanese.
Well, like, they're readapting Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
But yeah, like, if the source... I feel like if the story is good enough, if the source material is good enough, then it will see another adaptation at some point. I mean, that's not guaranteed for everything. Like, it has to be good and also perform well, because you could argue that there are certain like cult classics out there that didn't perform well and would never realistically see a readaptation. But I mean, because like for me with Full Metal Alchemist, I like that there's 2 different versions, and you can kind of pick like, oh, which one do I prefer? Therefore, that's like the true Full Metal Alchemist for me. Like each has their own different artistic merits, on top of the manga also existing.
No, I was just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I just wanted to turn it more into an argument. But no, I agree. I think adaptations are awesome.
Yeah,
but,
same.
Speaking of adaptations,
I like people when they. One of my biggest complaints I've always had with this stuff is that, well, like I said, I made this mention earlier, is I hate it when like reading a manga, because everyone always says, oh, the manga's better. You can't say that. It's like every time someone says the manga's better, it's like, oh yeah, you know what? I agree with you. I think the soundtrack in the manga was way better too. Like, you're fucking comparing 2 different art forms. Like, no, it's fucking stupid. Like, you can't compare 2 different you can't compare an oil painting to something, to a YouTube video. Like, it's not the same thing. It's just completely different. So why are you trying to do that? Like, that's one of my biggest complaints. A good friend of mine, Manga Explained, we had this debate where I actually like the 2nd season of Tokyo Ghoul. I think it's an enjoyable season, and he hated it. And we debated about this for like 45 minutes on one of my podcasts, and it was like, dude, like why do you hate it? It's like, well, in the manga, I'm like, just forget about the manga. Like, just think about it as its own original product. Like, I think it's good as its own original product. Yeah, but in the manga, like, stop bringing up the manga, for the love of fucking God,
well,
and just think about the anime.
I mean, to be fair, if you had seen a story like that, and let's say that the manga does have a more entertaining story, then I don't think you're wrong to say that the manga did it better. But I do disagree with this idea that the original is always better, the manga is always better.
Yeah.
But like, I do understand the sentiments of like, because the anime will change stuff or present things differently. So if you also read the original, then you just have that extra perspective. It's good to have.
Yeah, and that goes, like, to me, that goes from like not just from anime, from also like book adaptations to movies. I always hated that. Oh, well, the book's better. Yeah, fuck you too.
All right, so what? Go read the book then.
Yeah, go read the book, okay? Because like, I think I'm a strong believer in like, okay, the artists should have original, like, creative control. Like, the book is merely a guideline. No,
I agree. Like, The Harry Potter movies, for instance. I don't think the Harry Potter movies are particularly good. They're all right. But like the books are fantastic. They're like some of the most important books that I've ever read in my life. For me personally, I mean. But I don't feel like the fact that the movies didn't capture the magic of the books, or that they didn't like fucking express the same themes as the books. I don't feel like that's a knock against the movies. The movies are their own thing, and the books still exist. But that doesn't mean I can't say that the books are better. The book as a book is better than the movie is as a movie.
I think, personally, the best way to express that is that I enjoyed the book better.
But that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not saying I enjoyed it more, although I did. I'm saying it's better.
I disagree with your statement, but that's fair. I mean, we're allowed to disagree on this podcast, but I think, once again, you're trying to compare two different mediums to each other, despite having the same story.
I mean, I would say, like, if we give the movie a score based on its merit as a movie, let's say it's like a fucking 75 out of 100 as a movie. I can say the book is like, okay, it's like an 80 out of 100 as a book. The book is better than the movie.
All right, I don't want to debate this because this is gonna be like a dangerous water we're treading.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like
scaredy cat. Scaredy cats. Everybody chant it with me. Scaredy. Chant it with me, Alex. Scaredy.
Scaredy cat.
All right, Alex, go ahead.
Not a cult. But I do think that's an interesting way to look at it. Like, but I mean, it still is difficult to compare a book. But like, I understand what you're getting at. Like, how does the book stack up compared to other books? Like, or if you wanted to make this, I don't know, comparing it to, or where was I going with this? I don't know. But somebody save me.
Well, like, fine. Let's compare apples to oranges, for example.
All right, go for it.
So let's say you have an apple that is like, it's mushy and rotten, and it tastes bad. It's just not a good apple. It's really bad at being an apple. Then you have an orange that's like mushy and juicy and like really sweet, and it's great. It's a wonderful orange. That orange is better than that apple.
Yeah, but that's really easy to say.
Is it comparing apples to oranges?
You're comparing. Okay, let's bring it back though. That's basically comparing fucking Harry Potter to the Emoji Movie.
Yeah,
like it's not that clear.
Harry Potter
right?
is a better book than the Emoji Movie is a movie.
Fine. All right. I
win.
Like having this debate.
Bryant wins.
Brian always wins.
Brian wins. Brian.
I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about this argument because I have a personal vendetta because I think the whole thing is that you're comparing something. It's easy to sit there and envision for you, like when you're reading a book and let's say you haven't watched the movies or so on, and you're going through it. It's really easy to picture it exactly how you would see it best fit your own like ideals. Like you imagine Harry Potter exactly how you would imagine Harry Potter because it's your imagination, it's your free reign. So whenever you watch that movie, you're instantly disappointed because it's like it's not exactly how you wanted it.
Yeah.
So it will always be worse in your mind, no matter how you do it. That's one of the biggest problems. On top of all that, like let's say one of my best examples is what is it called? The Maze Runner. Have you guys seen the movies for the Maze Runner yet?
I haven't.
So I was a big fan of the Maze Runner series. I read the whole series already. And I watched the Maze Runner and I loved the movie, but then I came to the realization that it was like word for fucking word, the book. Like this guy did not like veer away from it slightly.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because like he basically had no choice because if he had fucking veered away from it, he would have gotten lambasted by everybody. And I feel bad because for me, I feel like there's no artistic content there. It's like there's no artistic intent there. It's just kind of like, let's take a popular name, then clone it, and then turn it into a movie. Like, that's so boring. It's so sad. It's I don't know. I feel like there was passion put behind the Harry Potter movies. As a
I
fan
agree.
who also read the books. I also read most of the books. I didn't read them all. I think I didn't read 7. I didn't read 7. I didn't read
Oh my goodness!
I think it was the one where they have the tournament.
How did you skip
You didn't
4?
read the book of that.
I never got it. I just never owned it.
Wait, how
for
did you
some
read
reason.
5 and 6? But you skipped 4.
I own 5 and 6.
What?
I don't know. It was a weird time in my childhood.
What?
Did you know that the 4th existed?
I knew that the 4th existed.
It has the number 4 on the spine. Like you have the number 3 and then the number 5, and you think like, okay, this seems right.
Don't judge me. But I personally, I mean, I love the books. I think the books are better. They're more in depth. They understand everything. And personally, I think the books overall are higher ranked against books than the movies would be higher ranked against other movies.
Yeah.
But once again, like you said earlier, you're comparing apples to oranges. You're trying to compare these two art forms together, and it's like,
Well,
sure, they have
my
the
argument
same
was that
story,
comparing
but
apples to oranges is fine. That there are plenty of points of comparison between apples and oranges.
Well, another way that you could look at trying to compare these things is comparing the qualities that they share. So, like, stories, characters, just any basic fundamental of a story. And I think what a lot of people will typically say with regards to, oh, the original was better, was that the movie might cut something out or
add something unnecessary in.
Yeah, that too. Because like you were talking about with your Tokyo Ghoul example, how he would say like, oh, but in the manga, like for me, my example would be Akame ga Kill, and how the ending of the anime kind of like the last 4 or 5 episodes rush through a lot of material, whereas in the manga they have more time to expand on it, help flesh out some of the characters a bit more. Granted, the manga is still not an amazing story by any means, but because it has extra time to delve into the aspects of the story, I would say that the manga is a better story. Not necessarily to say that, the manga, because like as a whole, I mean, again, I guess you'd go back to that argument of comparing apples and oranges, but at least as far as from a story standpoint, I can say with confidence that the manga does it better.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I would argue that we can compare apples and books, but
I agree completely with
Great.
whatever you guys say after this point.
perfect.
Brian, you know
fucking
what?
coward.
You're completely fucking right.
Yeah, say it
I don't know how to
again.
debate this properly.
Say it again.
Brian, I worship you every night.
No,
I'm
don't have
just
to go
saying.
that far. Just tell me that I'm right.
You're always right.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
That's all I wanted to hear,
Therefore,
Matt.
Matt has now lost every argument against Brian.
No, I've won one. I've
Yeah.
won one, and I'm fucking never gonna forget about it.
Yeah, you hear that, Sensei? I'm always right. So that one time when you counted that thing off on my test, being super pedantic about it, I was right.
There you go.
Am I doing a good job, Matt? Am I doing a good job with the roleplay this time? Am I not breaking the fourth wall this time, Matt?
You're making it so weird. You don't call it roleplay. Fucking flavor of this podcast is so fucking stupid.
I love it.
It's amazing.
To be really meta for a moment, how would we? Is this podcast a better conversation or a better podcast?
Or is it? I preferred the book personally.
Yeah, me too. I like the book better. I think the book is obviously way better than everything else, ever. There you go. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next subject that's totally not on a list on the Discord server.
Yes, somebody wrote it on our lockers, Matt.
Someone wrote it on.
Keep up.
Overall thoughts on this season so far?
I love it, but
It's
I've
so
talked
good.
a lot.
So I found out Ancient Magus Bride is 24 episodes long, and my life just got
Yes.
that much better. It's like, oh god, I was so happy because I've just been watching this show. I'm like, oh no, it's coming close to an end. That kind of sucks. And I was on my anime list the other day. And it's like 24 episodes. I'm like, oh my god, yes. Like the
See,
best
now
news
I had
all day.
like that first part of your statement. I had that reaction to Netjuno Susume because I finally sat down to watch that, and I'm like 6 episodes in, and I'm like, wow, it's a really fun watch. There's only 10 episodes. and 8 of them are out.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
only 2
dude,
It's
I
a
was
weird
so
number of
destroyed when I found
episodes.
that. Well, here's the thing, though. It's becoming more and more common. You had Konosuba that was only 10 episodes. I believe... no, that wasn't. There's another show that was pretty good that was roughly the same format that was 10 episodes.
See, like, I always get excited when I see a 10-episode show. Because, like, okay, this is a show that knows what it is. It knows how it begins, how it ends. Like, we're not going to get any bullshit with this. It's not going to drag on. Like... So, yeah, I was really excited when I saw that Netju no Susume was 10 episodes. Speaking of, that show...
So good.
It's one of the best of the season. It's probably
I
my
agree.
top, my favorite show of the season.
It's my number 3.
So
good.
Yeah, what are your numbers 1 and 2?
My numbers 1 and 2 are Ancient Magus Bride and Kekai Sensen.
Okay. Well, I'm not counting sequels or anything.
Okay.
Ancient Magus Bride is definitely below Netju no Susume for me. It
That's fair
probably
enough.
gets my number 3 spot, but it's just like... There's so much it could be doing that it's not doing. It's doing everything it needs to do. It's a good show. But it's just...
Are you salty because it doesn't have a narrative so far?
No, I'm salty because it has too much narrative.
Too much narrative? See, okay, have you watched Mushishi yet?
No.
Go watch Mushishi. It's
'Kay.
basically... Here's the thing. So, like, Mushishi... This show is basically just Mushishi except with narrative. Mm-hmm. Mushishi takes this show basically the exact same way, except, like, it's just episodic. Strictly episodic.
Yeah?
I like this show because I feel like Mushishi... I wanted a narrative in Mushishi, and it didn't quite give me one. But it was still, like, god tiers, like, really good. Mm-hmm. But this show is just basically what I always dreamt of, is having a Mushishi-like show with an overarching narrative.
Fantastic. Like, what they do really well is, like, Chisei's relationship with Elias. A lot of the world-building elements are really good. But, like, then they throw in the overarching plot with the sorcerer. And, like, all right. And I'm fine... I tweeted out after watching the eighth episode
Yeah.
that...
Latest one?
Yeah, the latest one, I think. That Ancient Magus Bride got really, really good for a second, and then it went back to just being good. And spoilers for Ancient Magus Bride here for the next minute or so. But it's like, when they were having the confrontation with the sorcerer, Elias rips apart the Chimera, and the sorcerer's like, man, that thing was expensive. I don't want to make another one. And then just... The other sorcerer just comes up and shoots him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And, like, if they had just left him dead and continued on with these 2 new characters as, like, buddies out in the world, continuing on with their slice-of-life magic, like, glorious run through the flowers, then it would have been at least an 8 out of 10 show. Now it's, like, the definition of a 7 for me.
See, I here's my thing. I don't think he's coming back.
All right, that's interesting.
I think, because here's the thing, because they established the fact that, like, this dude's basically, like, cursed to never die.
Yeah.
Like, that's his shtick. So, I mean, now that he's fucked with Elias and seen that Elias kind of, like, cares about the human, he's like, whatever, fuck it. And I think he's, like, kind of in the case of, like, he's just gonna move on.
I mean, he's coming back. He might not be in, like, every episode. But he's gonna be, like, the big bad for a while.
I think the thing is that, like I said, like, it's just a difference in opinions. You're more so wanting the episodic kind of feel,
Yeah.
which is definitely beneficial to this kind of series. It definitely adds a lot. Whereas I just love, like, just the idea of an overarching narrative. That's I feel like it's definitely being pushed a little bit too much. I think it should be a little bit slower. So I think this show is, like, very spiritual, so it's supposed to move, like, free roaming, kind of slow. But I do like the thought of an overarching narrative over the whole thing, and I definitely feel like it's being forced a little bit, but not to the point where it's killing that show for me. I think it's still really good. My only problem was Netju no Susume's. They recovered it. They did in the most recent episode. So
Yeah.
spoilers again for anyone who hasn't watched.
Yeah, like, we're gonna be spoiling some anime in the next few
Yeah.
minutes.
Is when he fucking admits that he's Lily to
Yeah.
her over the phone, and the phone dies.
And the phone dies.
I was, like, so triggered. Like, I swear to fucking God.
It's like,
Like, are
Twitch,
they really doing
Twitch,
this shit?
Twitch.
Because for me, that's just like a sign of like, oh, it's one of these fucking shows. But luckily,
Right.
like they fixed it at the end of the episode. He was like, all right, fuck this. I ain't gonna go through this a second time. So he just like, all right, hey, I'm Lily, which I think is good. It's a good start. I don't know. I feel like that show. I think Neju no Susume has done that a couple of times though, where like they've kind of taken back steps and hit old tropes, and they do generally fix them afterwards. But I feel like it's not like it's being accidental. I feel like they're just doing them just because they don't know otherwise.
Yeah, like after I do my video on my main channel about Doki Doki Literature Club, which I swear my main channel still exists.
I don't believe in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully I'll be able to get back on track with that. But after I do the video about Doki Doki Literature Club, I'm planning on doing one about Neju no Susume. Just because the show is so good and there's so much to say about it. Like, it's a great depiction of an adult romance. It's like the way it portrays her as a NEET without being like overly depressing or like condescending about it. I don't know. It's just really good. And the visuals are really good. The music, the OP is god tier.
The OP is the best of the season.
Absolutely.
So good.
I 100% agree.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff needs to get on that.
Alex, what do you think?
Well, because the thing when I had talked about the episode count with Nechu no Susume is usually with like a 10 episode show, they'll kind of progress through things pretty quickly, or I mean maybe not necessarily, but like the thing about this show, I love most of what it does, but I do feel like there are certain things like the way like I said, I'm only 6 episodes into it, but like I don't know, I guess the way that things have progressed, they have been a little slow, and when I consider that this is only 10 episodes, I have to wonder where is this going to end up? Which I guess that could possibly just be influenced by what I might have thought the show could do. And maybe I'm just spoiled because I watched Skigakure earlier this year, where it was actually a romance that was able to get fleshed out over the course of the story, and it didn't take the entirety of the story just to get to a confession. But that might not be what Nechu no Susume is going for at all, but I just feel as though there are like a few moments or a few, like you had mentioned, kind of like tropes, but just like certain things that maybe didn't need to be there, maybe didn't have to last as long as they were, but again, that's like a really tiny slight against the show. Most of what it does I love.
Mm-hmm.
I think my biggest thing about the show that I really feel like they should have expanded on, that they hinted at it for a little bit, was the idea of transgenders, like talking about transgender people and so on.
I don't feel like they have to explicitly talk about that.
Well, they didn't though. They kind of talked about it a little bit, like they hinted at it, and then they just backed away from it. It's gone completely now from the narrative.
Not really. Because I feel like it's making this implicit commentary that like gender doesn't matter as far as love is concerned. Like they aren't making any big societal points about transgender people.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to interpersonal interactions, it's just completely irrelevant, and I think that's part of the point that they're making by not commenting on it.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm just saying what could make it better. Like it's already a good show. I'm just saying personally, I would have liked to hit a little bit harder. Maybe they will.
Sure.
I don't know.
I feel you. But I also feel like trying to hit it a little bit harder is kind of a dangerous game, because it's really easy to get preachy about that kind of stuff.
True.
So like if she said something like, "Oh, you don't think it matters that I play a man online?" I mean, she does say things like that, but if she went much further with it than that, then it's like, all right, you're forcing this.
And again, I think that's one of those things where, with it only being 10 episodes, if they were looking to explore something like that, how far could they go with it? How far would they be willing to go with it? And I think at this point it would feel kind of out of left field if we're just like, hey, let's talk about this subject. And only this subject.
Because
I'm
like,
looking at the Ginny Tyson description, I just realized that they have it in the fucking death order. The fucking names of the characters.
Wait, you're just now realizing the death order? What?
No, I know about the death order. I just find it funny that it's in the fucking description.
Wait, what?
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. 1 second. It's the 12 very strange warriors. Rat, ox, tiger, then rabbit, then dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, then pig.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would you have it listed in that order?
Well, it's reverse zodiac order, man.
It is reverse zodiac order.
Well, no, that is zodiac order. So, like, of course they would list it in that order. Why would you have them die in reverse zodiac order, though?
Yeah, it's too predictable now. I'm kind of salty because
it's the second most predictable order.
Fucking die next episode. It's like 100% guarantee at this point. He's like, because I was like, oh, he's up in the sky. There's no way he's gonna go down. He's like, I guess I better go down there and fight with my brother. I'm like, why are you going? You're going down there to die. Like, stop. You're obviously gonna lose. Holy shit. Whatever. I'm done with that show. I'm triggered. It's so fucking generic.
Yeah, I'm not done with it. I'm gonna finish it out, but it's gotten so bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, I am gonna finish it out too, just because, but still. What else? Oh, Kekai Sensen season 2.
You go ahead and talk about that.
Oh my god, so good. It's so good. It's just, well, here's the thing. My biggest problem with it is that, like I said, I love overarching narratives, and this show has none. Like, no semblance of a narrative. It's like, fuck that shit. What if we just... Like, it's funny because they'll have, like, crazy, really important stuff going on in the background, and then we'll just go with the main character as he tries to get a new job. It's like, it's just like, what the fuck, man? It's like, it's so ridiculous. I don't know. I love it. It's something special. I think it's just one of the best shows out there right now. Just like the feeling, the pacing, just how the show, like the rhythm the show goes on. It's just so good. I don't know.
Has anybody
Highly
been...
recommend.
Great. I'll check it out eventually. Has anybody been keeping up with Girls' Last Tour?
No, I haven't.
I need to watch more of it. I've still only seen the first episode, but like...
that's the one with the girls that are tanks, right?
The girls in a tank, yes.
In a tank, yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about it. It definitely seems to be really popular.
Just the atmosphere is amazing. Like, atmospherically, it's taking the place of Made in Abyss. Oh, speaking of things that were taking the place of Made in Abyss, who here kept up with Children of Wales?
Not me.
Good. Alex?
No, I haven't even seen it.
Oh, God.
Is it bad?
That show started so well. The first episode was so good. No, then I was watching the second and third episodes with a friend of mine because I was like, oh man, you have to see this. It's so good. It's like the world building is excellent. The art looks great. It's like Made in Abyss. And then we watched it. And the first episode was great, and the second episode was really good. And then the end of the second episode happened, and we were like, oh, okay. And then the third episode happened, and we're like, oh, I have never seen a show go to shit that fast.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I've never seen that big
yet?
of a drop from like potential 9 out of 10 to like, wow, this is a 2. This is like a 2. Because they had this really interesting and unique world, these cool characters, and then in the third episode, like, everything became a trope. And also, like, there's a giant war now, and, like, one of the main characters is the daughter of a prince, or the sister of a prince, or something. I'm like, why is everyone dead?
The like, description of this, just spontaneous combustion just kind of reminds me of Kato the Right Answer, only with Kato
It happened at the end?
It didn't happen until, yeah, it was more towards the end, so you were already, by that point, they have you invested, and then at that point it's like, well, I guess I gotta watch this all now and see where it goes.
No, that's how it feels with Junie Tyson. It's like somebody dropped a nuclear bomb on Children of Wales, and then the radiation from that bomb spread out to Junie Tyson. Because Junie Tyson is dying a very slow and painful death, and you keep, like, rooting for it. Like, come on, you can do it, buddy, get better. Like,
all I'm just saying
then it
is
doesn't.
that they just need to kill Rat, like, right now. Kill Rat and Ox. Fucking throw off the order, and like, it's like, oh shit, who's gonna actually
wins? Like,
no, then Dragon wins. Fun fact, Dragon was OP the whole time.
But fuck Dragon, though. He's like the worst character who's still alive.
He is the worst character still alive, but they're fixing that next episode, don't worry.
Yeah, one way or the other.
They're totally gonna kill his ass.
Now, who do you want to win the Junie Tyson?
I'm actually hashtag Team Bunny.
Okay, interesting.
I like Bunny. I think he's great because he's so fucking smart. He's just cheesed fucking everybody. He's gotten like the most kills out of the entire tournament.
I know you think I killed that guy, but I didn't. I didn't kill that guy. You don't have proof. It's like his decapitated body is standing behind you. You can't prove that. Yeah,
it's not. I would like to take you to court, sir.
You can't prove. What's a court?
Innocent until proven guilty. My favorite thing was just just how much he cheeses people. It's great. Just like fucking monkey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's like really shitty. He's really slow, and he's like, and you're mine, bitch.
Just a stupid monkey though. Like you've got the fucking power to like separate planes of things, to disintegrate things. Just disintegrate his goddamn swords. You don't have to hurt him.
Just disarm him. I know. There's so many problems with it.
And of course they have no idea what Monkey's peace proposal was. Yeah, the writers had no idea where they were going with that.
No.
It's just, it won't matter. She'll be dead. Like, fuck you.
All right, guys. I think class is about to start.
No, class isn't going to start until we talk about King's Game.
King's. Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead and hit King's Game.
Hang on, Sensei. I know. No, we're talking about King's Game. Excuse me. Math can wait. No, like, has anybody watched any more King's Game?
The rules of King's Game are as follows.
Yeah.
All class members must participate. The orders sent by the king through email must be followed within 24 hours.
Yep.
A punishment will be given to those who don't follow the order.
Oh, yeah.
Quitting the King's Game halfway is forbidden. Wait, but how can you, so like if you like instantly like participate, then quit like instantly, as long as it's not halfway, you're free?
Sure.
Like, that's it?
Why not?
That's a fucking plot hole right there, buddies. Continue.
Oh, it's bad. It's a bad show. I love it.
Sounds like it's fucking terrible.
See,
What, Alex?
Like, I haven't seen the show, but I was watching Team 4-Star, their anime FMK thing, and when they got to the episode, I guess the one that's super over the top, and it goes from being a terrible show to a terribly hilarious show, but
the self-immolation scene?
That's
the one where the girl catches on fire?
Yes.
Wait, what?
There's a girl who catches on fire while hacking a virus. Okay, so nobody cares if I spoil King's Game, or at least if you do, you shouldn't.
You're probably influencing me to watch it right now.
I know,
Continue.
right? Anyway, turns out the whole King's Game thing is a literal virus, a computer virus, that causes people to spontaneously explode through the power of suggestion. And this girl, who has played the King's Game before, is hacking that virus through a back door that was left in by the virus's creator. And it's, of course, typical Hollywood hacking. There's nothing on her screen, but, like, some kind of weird JPEG rotating, like, image of, like, diamonds or something. I don't fucking know. But she's just typing away on her computer, and it says, like, hacking failed. And she catches on fire. Hacking failed.
Try again next time.
Yeah, and she's like, oh shit, they must have put in the back door as a trap. And she's like on fire while she is typing at her computer, not reacting at all. Then, like, after a while, the two main characters are like, hey, are you alright? And she, like, takes off her jacket because she's so hot.
Oh my god, I need to watch this show.
At least watch this episode, because
You've convinced me.
It's hilariously bad. The rest of the show is just bad. Like, it's not funny. If you don't enjoy it, then you're not going to enjoy it ironically. But this episode is amazing because it's just so funny. But yeah, she doesn't react at all. She goes to stand on a balcony just completely engulfed in flame and, like, says to the main characters, like, I just wanted to win the King's Game. You'll have to do that for me. And then she, like, does the cruciform plunge off the balcony. For no reason. She was burning to death.
I mean, she must be immune to fire or something.
No. No, she's not.
Was she, like, burnt to the crisp at that point?
I guess. She should have been, but she wasn't. Like, there's no visible burning on her at all. But I guess she was using the power of suggestion to not be burned.
That's ridiculous.
I know, right?
Oh my god, it's amazing. I'm gonna totally fucking watch this show.
It's like, yeah, it's like, It's amazing. Oh well. Hang on. Yeah, just a second. Can't you see we're talking... Hang on, the hall monitors are here. Can't you see we're talking about King's Game? Hey, what are you doing? You can't drag me to class. This is illegal. I thought this was America.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us today.
What do you mean it's Japan?
Thank you for getting the hall monitors, Alex. It's nice of you. I didn't want to do it myself.
Yeah, we've lost.
Until next time, this has been Manime.
Mathways.
And Explanation Point, who's no longer here with us. Goodbye. See you guys around next time.
I'm gonna go get him. I'm gonna go try to stop this.